Day on the internet. So, welcome to Can't Coders for everyone watching on the internet. Awesome. And for everyone watching tomorrow on YouTube, we've already cut this part of the video out. But Can't Coders is a nonprofit focused on your happiness as a coder. We love coders. We like employers. Like, we don't bash employers. Someone said to me, Lance, I think his name was Scott. He's like, we really got this negative PR thing going about employers and, like, not being nice. I was like, no, 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 no. A bunch of people got laid off and we were trying to get employers to come hire our people. So we're going to do a positive spin. We're going to go back to the basics of codes on Tuesday, coding on Tuesday nights. So that's next Tuesday. You could come code with Scott in the gang. And Scott, he's on mute. We won't even throw it to him. But basically what we're going to do is community-led coding. So if you want to do a coding kata, talk to Scott, join our Slack channel, slack.cantoncoders.org. There's a Tuesday night channel for Tuesday nights. Very good naming. And come up with an idea. If you want to do Carbon, if you want to do C Sharp, if you want to do Fortran like Lance, pop it in there and the Tuesday night coding crew will code. And this is a great place for us to learn how to work with each other from different backgrounds. Wednesday night is we're going back to school night. This is where we're going to do more of the theory level. Things like a director would look at, things that futures leaders would like to look at. So looking forward, tonight we have our friend Lance, but next October 5th, we have Camille, who's going to talk about gherkin, specifications by design, in her talk called Given When Gherkin. And then we also have our resident hand waver, Brian Finster, who's going to do platform as a product, talking about the work that he's done to do funded product in DevOps and more focusing on the ops. And we also have a bunch of other people going to do speaking, but the marketing crew is behind on the calendar. But you can keep up to date at events.cantoncoders.org. All right, Lance, anything else I should add? Should I say things like, you're my friend, it was a pleasure working with you, you're a really smart person? Or should we just throw it over to you and say, hey, Lance, thanks for coming tonight. What are you talking about tonight? I apparently can't read.
Yeah, we're going to talk about scale tech coaching, and we've having how do I say this? We have some very interesting people in the audience. We have a scale tech coach, another scale tech coach that's joined the audience. His name is Sylvester Bubboos. So please wave, Sylvester, say hi or something. So we had the pleasure of doing some of this work that I'm about to talk about at a client that I can't, whose name I won't say.
So at this point, we will just name that company. We will name it ABC Corporation.
Yeah, ABC.
And it wasn't the TV Corporation.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh no. Now my NDA is broken with ABC. I'm in soup now. All right. What else should I say about myself? I've been doing technical coaching for a long time. Since 2006, I was a professional coach. And before that, I was a team lead with XP Motivation. So I kind of just ended up coaching within my team, or new projects that we turn into an XP project. But then later I was paid to actually help clients who wanted that done in their companies since 2006. A long time ago, 1999, I was at HP. I can say that. I worked there. And we had Kent Beck for our coach, and he taught us XP, which was really cool. We learned to do ship or no ship decisions with a unit test suite and a system test suite in 4 hours. So we got to ship on Fridays, and they were low pressure Fridays. Oh, most of the time. There's a couple times we had to rerun our tests when something came up bad, and we would run them and fix it and run them again. But most of the time it was we went home on schedule. Cool. I think that's probably enough about me. Oh, well, you will see as I flip through the slides that I've lived in other places than North America. I've spent a lot of time in China, 7 years, and then about 8 months in India, and then I came back to the States. So how about I start flipping slides and see what happens? So the subtitle here, creating self-sustaining transformation, I think is an important component, because I don't think technical coaching typically does that. But what I'm about to talk about a way where it can. Oh, and by the way, if you have questions, you can drop them in chat. You can come off mute, whatever works for you. I've got the chat up over there. I may ignore you in chat for a while if I'm feeling like I'm going to get distracted. So, but this first slide actually is demanding people interact. So there's quiet people like David Kuntz, who's on the call. He may have an opinion about this, but why does anyone need a technical coach? Well, why spend the money?
Do you want out loud verbal remarks? Do you want smart remarks or serious remarks?
Either way, it's anybody can say anything. Yes, please jump in. Tell me, talk to me. Why does anyone need a technical coach?
Because you have a mortgage. You have a mortgage to pay.
Wait a minute, Joel. Why do you need a technical coach for you and your team?
Why do I need a technical coach for me and my team? A competency mismatch. Technology changes so fast that I don't want to spend the early adopter tax every time we learn something new. That time where we're Googling things and we're not very good at the things that we're Googling. We don't even know what to Google yet.
Okay, that's fair enough. I like that. Anyone else? I mean, if we can't even decide that you want a technical coach, this is going to be probably the first problem we need to work out. David,
Well,
I don't think David liked your early adopter tax comment, but I think
We can
he's
debate
being
that
smart
over
back.
pints later on.
and if I'm trying to sell myself, I tell people that musicians do arpeggios and scales to practice, and that sports teams do something, I don't know, before they do a game. So it's a way to practice, and they all have coaches. I'm actually in the middle of not being able to say that, because as Joel once said, would you rather have a scrum master or free health insurance? So it's an interesting trade-off. Like it's got to be worth it. And like, what's the business case? I'd love to hear more.
All right. Well,
And
cool.
by the way, I didn't say that in a negative tone. It's just in an economic tone, Lance. Like we're learning about your methodology and your progress, and it was coming
There's
up
always
with
opportunity costs for where you put your dollars.
Yep.
Sure. Cool. Well, I'm gonna. I think I'm. Unless somebody wants to add something, we've heard some pretty good comments. I'll add a little bit more detail. Basically, what Joel said is, my team can learn something that will make us better and finish our product faster, or make it more stable, or make it more secure, all those things. So if we work together as a team for a long time and we work really well and efficiently, no matter how high level we are, there's going to be a point where the group is going to have a certain set of skills, but something else in the world has moved on, and we want to absorb more. So yeah, we want to absorb more good stuff. Now, Joel, you were talking about early adopter tax, things like that. What about getting a trainer? Why not just do that?
I don't know, Lance. Should I throw that one back to you, or should I give you an answer?
We could play badminton for a while.
Having been a technical trainer for 20 years, I chose not to put that in my comment, but yeah,
Okay.
there's always an option for where you put your money.
Yeah. And there's some nice value to that. Like it's a fairly, like when you're talking about scale, right? So this talk's going to go with, like, we have lots of people to change, not just this one or two teams. You can really cover a lot of people with training, and it gets a lot of people in a company talking differently, meaning absorbing some new information and thinking differently. And the classroom gets them focused on learning the skill rather than on feature delivery. So it gives them a little bit of a safe space to get some things done. But what the problem is, applying what is taught to their product is frequently difficult. They have trouble getting the environment set up where they can be successful. They haven't really formed a lot of habits. So training might be a few days, it might be a week. I don't know, maybe it could even be 2 weeks. But they haven't applied it to their project, where they're giving. Once they leave the classroom, they're surrounded by their usual environment, where somebody hands them a user story, says, please go do this. The team agrees, but then they realize, oh yeah, we forgot to estimate it in a way that accommodates our new way of thinking. So these habits aren't in there yet, even though because they were in the classroom. They didn't bring the habits out of the classroom. So that's one of the big problems with training. And then if the training's kind of transactional, when Joel brings in a trainer to teach the team the latest like scalable NoSQL database, and then the trainer leaves, if they get stuck again and they turn around and look for the trainer's gone. He's already like out doing some training somewhere else. So there's some problems there. Anyone have anything else to add to that? I'm reading David Kuhn says, training is the org dev answer for everything. Yeah, right.
Organizational development.
We're looking for some training on why to bring a trainer.
All right, so here's the hardest part of the deck for you today. Does anyone want to go ahead and read this? This is a Chinese proverb, but this was going to help set up the next slide. So 老师开门，你必须自己进去. So thankfully, I've got a translation here. This one might be easier. Teachers open the door, but you must enter by yourself. So that's kind of an important thing, because teacher or coach opens the door. If people don't go through the door, we don't get into the next room. So with that in mind, if money is no object, how would you like to be coached? Michael Wolf threw that out there pretty fast. Michael, did you actually translate that?
I just put it in the chat for future reference.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know when that showed up. I was going to be quite impressed. Yeah, so money is no object.
Is this rhetorical? And feel free, I know some of us are putting kids.
No, I'm asking. These are all like real questions that I'm asking.
You can probably call out a couple people on here that you know in real life. They'll play the game.
How about people I don't know, like Paul? Paul Moore, I haven't met you, so let me be mean to you.
Well, let's make sure we abide by our privacy policy. Wink, wink, Lance. So people that you know in real life.
People I know in real life.
Like Scott Hammer.
Well, that would be. I don't know if I know. Do I know
Scott? He teaches here a lot.
All right, folks, you can speak up if you want. If money's no object, how would you like to be coached? Is there an ideal way that we haven't tried yet, that nobody's bothered to?
Between long vacations. I don't know about you, but corporate sponsored long vacations, come back, get coached for like a day. What do you think, Michael? And then go back on a vacation again for a couple of weeks?
Yeah. So another idea, maybe, there's the Linux cruises, things like that. Why not have the vacation and the training at once? That might be a way. Okay, so here's yet another idea. Shoot, I'm not ready for that. Well, another idea is maybe if we just got more technical coaches, right? Would that help? Oh, David wants to do the Linux cruise. So we're gonna talk about that in a second here. But Socrates says, I can't teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. And then the next day, Socrates was fired from his teaching job. But anyways, we'll leave that one for later. So here we are with this idea that what if we just got more technical coaches? I mean, here we have a team, and we've got a technical coach for each team member. How helpful would that be? I got a thumbs up. All right, cool. Because you can't have, if you just have one technical coach for one team, why not have one for each team member? Would that help?
Wasn't that a model by a big consulting company at one point?
I have no idea. I've never seen it in use. It could be cool though. Maybe we should do this semester.
I think that's called a mentor in MBA circles.
Yeah, well, right. Everybody can, yeah. If the mentor knows stuff, that's a good model. But if the mentor is enough steps ahead. All right, well, so I've never seen this model used in real life. So I'm going to show you more the traditional model is, the traditional model is you have a technical coach for a whole team. Is that controversial to anyone? All right. And the model that we're going to be talking about more today is, oh my God, where'd the technical coach go? Oh, what we have is somebody who's kind of highlighted over here, a team member coach the team. All right. So if we can get a team member to coach the team, then that person had to have entered the door that was held open by the teacher. And that will be shown immediately. In like lean terms, or in theory of constraint terms, we've shifted the bottleneck further to the left to say, this will not go anywhere if that person doesn't get bought in and help transform the team. So we will at least get one advocate on the team who's capable, who understands what it is we're teaching, who applies themselves to learn what we're teaching, what we want the team to learn, and then help teach the team. All right. So we're not going to talk about, unfortunately, we're not going to talk about the model on the far left with all the extra coaches. But if somebody wants to take that up, we can talk after the after the call. So let's zoom in on the traditional model a little bit more. So coach per team, generally this works like this. At least this has been my experience. 2 weeks to 2 months per team, and it's a full time. Like, you usually coach one team. Not always. Sometimes if you're there for more than 2 weeks, maybe you coach a couple teams. But and there's reasons why that can work up to a point, but they're not necessarily good reasons. So the problems with traditional coaching is, unless the way was paved by management to say, hey, you guys should listen to the coach and actually slow down a little bit and apply what he's teaching, the coach is often in conflict with management because the team's going to be slowed down a little bit. There's also the situation where you have the test manager who's putting together the manual test reports, and he's feeling like his cheese is going to be moved. His job's in risk because we're talking about test automation, or we're talking about the QA team working closely with the development team, and now maybe that manager's vision, the QA manager's vision, isn't to allow that, right? So some of these, there will be some conflict with the traditional model. The team leads. This next bullet, the third bullet, is kind of one that I've seen hit or miss, is that team leads can also be a little bit aloof, right? They can show up to the training as an explorer, kind of watch the team go through things. And then when the coach leaves, the team lead can say, hey, I don't know if we really need to do that TDD thing or this or that. So you don't really know, you don't always have the team lead bought in. In fact, I'll tell you something. If the team lead is already bought in, chances are they didn't need a technical coach because the team leader's already got the team doing it. So frequently you're in a situation where the team leads aren't bought in, or they're at least maybe, they might be open to exploring. They're not necessarily against it. So again, I'm pointing out another type of bottleneck that gets left behind if it isn't managed at the start. So sustaining practices after the coach leaves is hit or miss. If the coach did all the work of training the team in whatever the heck it is the coach is there to train, when about 6 months later, some new team members show up, what are they going to do? Are they going to hope maybe through osmosis the team member just does what the rest of the team's doing? Or is anybody going to pull that person aside and take them through some training katas that like the technical coach did? I don't know, probably not, but maybe it could happen, but we don't know, right? Because this model doesn't put to the front that somebody on the team is going to learn how to teach the team.
It reminds me that even Llewellyn Falco, who is like God among gods, he counts his success by what the team's doing 6 months later when he comes back.
I would love to hear his metrics on this. I actually went back and collected some statistics or some metrics on that because I was curious too. and if, of course, if they actually answer your emails, that's a good sign. And then if they're actually open to telling their success criteria, which will be varied, has been my experience. That's also either way good.
Lance, just ask a question. How many times have you done this model, and at what scale? Because you said scale.
Yeah. So not this model at scale, the traditional model at scale. But
whatever you want to answer.
The traditional model at scale can't be done at scale because there aren't enough technical coaches to scale it. You can't get, I've never seen, I maybe have seen 10 technical coaches in one company at once, but that was maybe only one time. And that still isn't enough for that size of company. So this model that we're talking about can't scale. That's the biggest problem as well, on top of these other problems. So the next slide, we'll talk about something that's more scalable. All right. So like this young girl who's learning to fold, we want to set up an environment where a person or people, but at least one person, can learn something and teach the rest of the team. So what does that look like? So here we have that scaled tech coach. We're going to call him a scale tech coach. We're differentiating so that we know he's not coaching one team now, but he's coaching. Oh, look, we have some familiar faces down here. These what we call the team tech coaches. So we have the fellow on the other slide where we highlighted him, said, hey, that's a volunteer on the team who's going to be the team tech coach. And we have, oh, isn't that Yusuf? Oh, and look, there's Doug, and I don't know who this guy is. I forgot his name.
Yes, Harry.
And that's a few other folks. All right. So we get a team member from each of the teams to volunteer. Key point: volunteer, has interest in learning, has interest in teaching to their team some of these skills. And this is what we call the scale tech coaching. I call it a catalyst model because what you do is you go to each team that's going through the transformation and you say, who can be the catalyst or the team tech coach to create some new capability in the team. And then like that previous slide with the girl, where you need to set up an environment for that team catalyst to be successful. And that environment, that success is set up by the organization as well as the scale tech coach. The scale tech coach has the know-how on what it is the teams are to learn, such as TDD, et cetera, lots of things. And the organization has the ability and authority to say, okay, Joel, you get to be team tech coach. Yes, you volunteered. We won't demand that you go to like all of the meetings that we've been demanding you to go. We're going to give you a break so you have time to learn how to be a coach. And then what the scale technical coach does is teach those team tech coaches how to be a coach, how to be a technical coach, how to be a team facilitator, because we're not trying to create we want those people to show up as coaches. I know we're asking a lot of some of these folks here whether they can show up as a coach, but you know we'll do our best. So we teach them how to coach, and then we take them through how to make a coaching plan, and that coaching plan will have technical stuff like DevSecOps, setting up a continuous integration environment, all of those things. We'll work out a plan with them that encompasses how to get their team to get those capabilities. And then we work with these team tech coaches on, maybe Yusuf doesn't know how to set up a CI environment. So one of the things that I would do as a scale tech coach is to work with this cohort and help them learn how to set up a CI environment for those that don't know how. So we'll have some trainings about that. Some of it, CI environments are kind of funny because maybe we'll just pair together on setting it up for that team. So that might be more of a learning by doing rather than a, hey, let's go look at some slides. But some other things are going to be some knowledge, like clean code. And then some other things are going to be, we're going to do some katas and dojos together, just like you would with a team, but now with this cohort, the team tech coaches. Any questions? And Sylvester, did I explain that? Did I say something confusing? What could I? Okay, cool. Just checking in. He knows this model pretty well, so I'm just. He's my QA check today.
Lance, is this a theory model or is this proven?
Oh, this is proven, baby. We've done this at 3 different big companies, and it does change and refine as we go. So how we did the very first time was more minimalistic, and then how we did the second time, it's been refined.
How many devs ballpark?
So,
or if we get there, we might be.
This is the universe. So in the universe, where's scale tech coaching been used? By the way, that's a 3-dimensional model of the universe. That apparently it's not the shape that I expect it to be either. But so The first time I was involved with trying to scale tech coaching was at a French bank that spanned France, India, and Hong Kong, and that was where we're just starting to scratch the surface because the COO said, "I like Lance, but we need to do more than just team coach. We need to find a way to start building this capability in the company." And so we started doing finding team representatives. We didn't use the word team tech coach at the time, but team representatives to team leads and train them into the things that we wanted their teams to do. Okay. And so in that case, you see about 70 developers were impacted. We got 70 developers via and 24 team tech coaches. So they had 2 per team approximately. All right. And then there's technologies, if you're interested in that, java.net. Then the large national bank headquartered in San Francisco. This is a situation where there was it was very black or white. We are hiring one technical coach. We have 1,000 to 2,000 people who need to learn this. And let's see how, and we're open to exploring and learning as we go. Meaning they knew that this model didn't exist, and they were open to working together to get this model to work. And so that not large number was possible because, I mean, like if Sylvester, he sees that large number, he goes, "What the hell?" So that larger number is possible because we only taught him one thing, Sylvester. We only did TDD. We didn't, we have so many other things. So we only did TDD. So basically every 2 weeks we had a large cohort of say Java people, and we run them through the classes in Java, and then we have to do that a number of times, and then we would do a cohort of we did cohort by technology and people. So we ignored the mobile developers, for example. Yeah. So, and that also includes managers too, because at that company, if we didn't get the managers on board and as part of the change, they would become oppositional to the change and wouldn't be able to support it. So yeah, in this case, so my favorite part of the large national bank in San Francisco is that I never realized how team leads may not be very good at giving feedback on code reviews. And that was really a powerful part of a kata we did. We had teams do coding katas, and we had the team leads, I call them team tech coaches on this call, team tech coaches do the code reviews, and they would send me the code reviews, and I would give them feedback on their code review before they sent it out to the team members so that they can learn how to, express things in a less and what's the word? I don't know. Maybe it'd be a little bit less antagonistic, a little bit more nice, I suppose. People just don't know how to criticize sometimes without being mean, I guess. Sorry,
so somebody. People and a communication skill, not a technical skill.
Yeah, right. And well, it's interesting because people need to think about big picture. It's like, oh, why did you expect this person to do it perfectly? Oh, so it's a developmental mindset. You're the team tech coach. A coach should be developing people. You shouldn't expect people to already be good, because otherwise you're more of like a hiring manager. I only hire good people. If you don't make my bar, I fire you, right? Or I don't hire you. But you want your coach to be development minded and say, like, oh, okay, I see what you tried to do here. Let me help you out. I think this will work better. Use adjust the soft skill language part. We also started doing conflict management techniques for how to de-escalate a conflict. And we also taught those team tech coaches how to do coding dojos, katas, pair programming, and how to pair program with your team members rather than have meetings with them or one-on-ones with them, but have a pair programming session with them to help them learn how to do something.
I just want to highlight that you reframed my question, and thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, is it a technical thing? Is probably, what were the words I used? Communication or something.
You said,
said it's a mindset. I loved that.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, James.
Hey, Lance. Yeah, I just was pointing out that he said it was a communication skill rather than a technical skill, which I thought a odd distinction actually.
Yeah, and then as sorry, Michael just said, I also kind of reframed it again as I said, well, it's actually the point of view shift is from being critical, but to being more of a how do I develop somebody, and then all the other things kind of fall into play at that point. Okay, so and then
the
of course
reason I like that is my own personal journey, because the way I asked it, it's like, well, something's broken, let's fix it. And you were saying something different. I like that.
Then also like Sylvester and I worked together at a large auto company headquartered in Detroit, and this is partly Sylvester and partly some things that I was doing before Sylvester. Anyways, we worked with 17 teams, and we produced 20 team tech coaches. Sometimes there's more team tech coaches in our teams because people, for some reason, change jobs sometimes, and so we have to train a new one. Yeah, or people get pregnant, or life happens, paternity leave, all those kinds of things. Okay. So this is the high level. This is how thousands of people can be changed in a year by few people. In the large bank case, it was one person. I had a supporting cast of other non-technical coaches helping me with coordination work and the management part of that, but I was the only technical coach there. And in the case of Detroit, we have more than one technical coach. We have more than one scaled technical coach. We have a few of them. So this is also important when you tell somebody something. Only through experience will they actually say, okay, yeah, it does kind of work that way. Some of the things we ask people to do are crazy, like write tests before you write the code. I mean, who's ever heard of that? Some more on capabilities. The capabilities were different for different companies and engagements. So it depends on what people wanted to do. But the primary, how do I say this? The focus point was always a team tech coach, and teaching them how to be a coach, how to be collaborative, how to run. I mean, just think about this. Forget about tech coaching for a second. Wouldn't it be great if every team could operate in a collaborative way? Well, think of the efficiencies if they can facilitate collaborative meetings well. Just teaching them that will give them a boost. And so we covered all that in the coaching class. When my team tech coach Joel and I worked out a coaching plan, Joel didn't show. At least he tells me he didn't. Anyhow, he didn't go back to the team and say, "This is how we're doing it. We're going to do this step A, step B, step C, and then you over there, you're going to start working on the CI environment." It wasn't like that. Joel would go back and he would have a collaborative meeting where he would show them, "This is what we learned. This is what I learned with Lance. Da, 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 da. What do you guys think? What do you think the value for these things are?" And so that he would work out with the team how to prioritize the priority of what they wanted to do, and communicate with the team about, what are these items? What do they mean? Why do we need to do add some infosec tools into our pipeline, things like that.
How did that help the team?
The team got to get an introduction to what is Joel doing in those meetings with Lance, right? So some visibility. We've all been there, right? Where the manager says, "Hey, I've been talking to, we've been having these meetings that you don't know about for a long time, and now we've made this decision." So rather than make the decision, we always told Joel, go talk to the team and see what they think, and see if they agree, adjust. They can adjust the plan, and then Joel would bring back the plan. So the team was involved, but it was at a the drawback to scaled technical coaching is it was done with a extra step. So Joel had to leave the meeting with me and go talk to the team, and then work out a plan with them collaborate with him, and then he would come back and talk about it. So you can see there's a little bit of an extra step. There's a little bit of an efficiency there, an inefficiency that happens because I'm not involved in all the meetings with Joel. Sometimes Joel will invite me along because, I don't know, there's a teammate in there Joel has conflict with, and he's a little bit shy about bringing up,
You said that we weren't going to talk
Perry
about that in
Mints.
front of Scott, okay?
Okay. Sorry, Scott, but yeah. So sometimes Joel would bring me along into meetings where he felt like he wanted a hand, or maybe just that inefficiency seemed too great of a bridge. But you can see that there's a little bit more of a there's a couple extra states that then aren't normally there if you're just doing traditional coaching. But if we're just doing traditional coaching, we can't scale. So we just
Lance,
kind of
there's
accept
a
that.
question from the group. It says the team has some ability to decide, so they can veto something fundamental, say TDD.
I think that's a great question, and I think if a team doesn't want to do TDD before you start training them on TDD, that's a good thing to learn, because then we can figure out, well, what are we going to do about that? How are we going to convince the team, or what can we show the team to help them understand that TDD is so valuable that they want to do TDD? So the team has some ability to decide. Generally, it was more prioritization, and occasionally we run into a case where a team doesn't want to do something, and then it becomes the job of the scale tech coach and the team tech coach to put their heads together and talk about, well, what evidence can we find that this will be valuable for the team to do? I'll be honest with you, David. The organization probably paid me to help them do something. And if I can't help them do that something, then they'll probably be rather upset and don't really want the team to decide. But the act of the team disagreeing creates the conversation, so we can at least try to work that out. I'd rather have them actively disagree rather than passive aggressive. Okay, fine, I'll do the training. And then, when I go back to my keyboard, I don't actually do anything like that. So why does the team feel that way? Yeah, that's right, David. We're trying to learn through empathy. Why does the team want to or not want to do something? Because that's the problem to solve. And that's actually the problem I was talking about with the team lead, is that anytime I was coaching a team and I could tell by the look in the team lead's eyes that he wasn't really bought into it, that was always felt like a problem. And a lot of times I would cross my fingers hoping he would change his mind before I was done.
So David says the upfront disagreement is valuable?
I think so. Yes, he says that.
Yeah.
And then there's another remark here is, if they disagree, they're at least engaged.
Yeah, that's true.
And then James says actively disagreeing is better than passively disregarding.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. So that's again why I see this as a shift left movement, where you move a person. So the person who is most likely to be responsible for the team's technical development and mentorship is the team lead. And putting that person in place as the team tech coach means we're actively working with that person to understand if they agree and if they can teach the team, because I'm a temporary resource, and after I'm gone, they will have to do this over again with other people. The opposite of agree is not disagree. It's apathy. Oh, that's interesting.
Lance, would you say you have people skills?
I don't know. I write emails. I would say yes. Why? What? Tell me more, Joel.
What you're saying is you have people skills. You work well with people, and you can help people work well with other people.
That's true. That's true. So if you're a technical coach who can't work with other people, I don't know. I don't know if there's technical coaches like that, but yeah, you need to be able to work with people for sure.
I want to pick up on a thread you said about forced. I just heard some podcast that was actually talking about diversity and inclusion, and there's some studies that prove that forcing people to go to them actually gets negative results. There's statistically significant negative results for forcing people to certain trainings.
Interesting. Because, I think a lot of it So my lived experience with that is it shows up as an email and then I have to just do it. Right. And I just learned to accommodate it personally, but yeah, I might roll my eyes about it. And sometimes I'm like busy and I'm annoyed. Right. So those aren't great environments to be learning something, right? I'm already annoyed. And I suppose that, yeah. So if somebody came to me and told me, hey, Lance, you should go do this, because sometimes people say things and it's really embarrassing. You don't really want to be stuck in that situation sometimes. And I go, yeah, that's true. Then it becomes it's more of a sell rather than a tell. So, yeah. Let's see what else I got here. So one of the things as a technical coach, I actually, in all forms of coaching, whether I'm process or technical coaching, is sometimes I have this, I want to make it too perfect or too good. And I really ought to leave it unrefined and let the team do the work. Get them engaged, get them actively trying to learn something. Why should I build them an entire course on TDD in their technology when they already know the technology? If I teach them the concept, why can't I get them to build the course for their technology on their own after I kind of help them with the concept? So this will help them take ownership of what it is they learn. All right, so where did this scale tech coaching stuff come from? For me, it just came through responding to market demands. Other people who have done it through, I guess, market demands of different kind. If you read Dick Couch's Chosen Soldier, it's about the operations of Special Forces operation, Office of Special Forces operation. I think I got that right. In the military, which is where one of the functions of the military is to do what's called unconventional warfare, where they want to support somebody and they don't want to do it by sending over the Army or in the Navy or the Air Force. They send over a warrior soldier, a warrior teacher, somebody who is also a soldier but is a teacher as well, and then they go over and work with those people to teach them the skills that they need to attain their goals. Another thing that happens, and this is just one example, this I'm familiar with because this is my wife's business, is she's part of Premier Financial Alliance. And what they do is they take regular Joe people in the world who are looking for opportunities to run a business, and they, through mentoring and through a program at virtually no cost, give you materials and have you come into a meeting every so often to encourage you and coach you to be able to sell financial products. So this is not something that was just, invented. It's not unique is what I'm trying to say. And there's lots of organizations doing that. And those other organizations, the military and PFA, are doing it because the bottleneck's in different places. And the PFA example, it takes a lot of nurturing to sell financial services to people. And so it's easier to find people who want to learn the business and then have them use their own networks to nurture people in the financial services. In the special forces, it just isn't politically correct to send the Army to solve all the problems. It's more correct to send an advisor or a teacher to solve some of those problems. So in coaching, where do you think the bottleneck is? Is it the coach, the teams, the corporate environment, or the individual?
I'm kind of thinking part of it is,
David says environment. Michael Wolf says culture, which is environment, I think, as well. And corporate world wants an answer, not a solution that requires a change.
Organizational structure and design. And Scott was saying something too, but he broke up.
I was going to say, am I breaking up?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, a big part of it is that learning journey from getting that knowledge to applying it. And I think the bottleneck is in the application side of it, especially with coaches not being, having enough to help mentor in that application.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's why the training model doesn't work. It's too transactional, and then the coach is there longer. And then you heard, I don't know if you guys, if I spoke this plainly enough, in my opinion, the team lead who you're leaving behind with the team, if they're not part of the change, then you've left a puzzle unsolved, which will probably undo it. Because I've seen it. Okay, so I was in a context where it was within my own company. So I was there for a much longer time than, say, a few months. And I heard from the team that they all wanted to do TDD, but the team lead didn't believe in unit testing. He believed in system testing. He was an architect. He wanted them to be big types of tests. And he literally kept his team from doing TDD for months. And I finally heard about it. I go, what? And so we had a retrospective about it. And finally we got the architect to say, okay, fine, I'll let the team do it. This is just crazy because I had no idea that was happening. Team is on board until the trainer leaves. Right. Yes, David. They can just wait for the wave of coaching or training to go by. Training's much easier. Coaching's a little longer. Yeah. But if you make them become part of the change, then it'll be a lot less likely they'll have skin in the game at that point. Okay, what else do I have left? Oh, if you want to hear more about scaled tech coaching, search for Agile Thoughts Scaled TDD Coaching, and you will hear more about the story of the big bank in San Francisco where approximately 2,000 people, I don't think it was exactly 2,000, but it was somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 people were coached in approximately a year on TDD using scaled tech coaching. What else do I have here? We're at the end. So, folks, what else is on your mind? How do we really do this?
Let's just do
Go ahead.
a little legal disclaimer. We're streaming this live on the internet, so don't break anyone's privacy policy. Don't break your NDA, right? So just, if you're going to ask questions, ask them generically. If you're going to answer questions, Lance, answer them generically, because you don't represent anyone but whom, Lance?
A large financial institution.
No, he represents Lance Kind, the individual, correct? And maybe
That's right.
And maybe his blog. I
Right.
represent Canton Coders and not our employers. We all represent each other tonight.
I don't represent the U.S. military.
We represent ourselves, not our corporate overlords.
Right,
So Q&A is great, but we can always turn off the streaming if that's probably safer. I'm about to do that, and we just upload the questions tomorrow. So youtube.cantoncoders.org. I'm going to turn the streaming off now, and if you want to participate, jump on the Zoom, which is in our Slack channel, or catch up tomorrow at youtube.cantoncoders.org when we sanitize this stream just in case Scott Hammer compliments me too much. And
What's the URL for that Zoom?
The URL for that Zoom is in the Slack channel. So you join slack.cantoncoders.org, slack.cantoncoders.org.
Asking for the URL for the Slack because you had only said the YouTube.
Yep, slack.cantoncoders.org. And no, David, we haven't been sued lately. We're just super cautious because we care about happiness.